Hey guys, so here's the car we're looking at today. It's a 1994 Mustang GT, 98,000 kilometers. It's a convertible, an automatic car. The problem we're having is it would come out of overdrive into third gear. So you'd be driving along and the tachometer is at 1600 RPM and go up to about 2400 RPM, back down. It would mess around. It would mess around in town. It would mess around on the highway. Sometimes you could drive it for a while and it wouldn't do anything wrong. It would behave itself. We are taking it to a really good transmission shop in Melville, Saskatchewan. These guys really know what they're doing. They put it on their equipment. They said everything's acting fine. We just got to find out, it wasn't acting up for them at the time, but we determined it's the shift solenoids. And I'm going to show you the difference between the old style and the new style. So we found some new old stock Ford solenoids. Here's the part number. So this is roughly a 94-95 style solenoid for the automatic transmission. So we're kind of trying to figure out, we changed the fluid, the filter. The transmission shop said that everything in the car is operating as it should, but it wouldn't do it for when they were test driving it. So what we've determined is it's likely the shift solenoids. And the shift solenoids, it was just kicking out of overdrive, so it wasn't the torque converter unlocking or anything like that. But the big stumbling block is in 94-95 Ford had one style of a solenoid, and then they updated it. They updated it to a new solenoid with a new style valve body, and the problem is how the solenoid mounts to the valve body. So I'll show you in just a second what the difference is. We also have a video clip of the way the transmission was acting, showing the vehicle going in and out of fourth gear. It's just like you hit the overdrive button to turn it on and off. So even with overdrive off, it went into second. So that's something new that we didn't know before. Definitely not slipping. Now it's in third. Okay, I'm going to go back into fourth. So I'll just hit the overdrive button off. We also switched speed sensors just in case. I would tend to think if the speed sensor was acting up that the speedometer would jump up and down, because there is no speedometer cable on these cars. It's totally electronic, not like a 93 or older Foxbody. We're just on our way to the transmission shop in Melville. They're going to switch out the solenoids for us, and hopefully that does the trick. Well, here's an update on the shift solenoids. Honestly, with this being a 94, we don't have the data available like on a newer transmission through the OBD system to pinpoint things. And plus, if the car isn't acting up all the time, it's pretty hard to diagnose a problem if at the moment it doesn't exist. So I kind of made a decision with the transmission shop. I said, you know what, let's throw in some shift solenoids, which we did. It's actually, basically you got to drop the pan. The solenoids are sitting right there. It's a relatively easy and inexpensive thing to try. It's not the first time a shift solenoid has gone on a transmission, and it didn't do it. It didn't fix it. It's still doing the problem. It's still popping out of gear. And also, thanks to a good friend of mine, we got another ECM we're going to try as well. Got to get this Mustang fixed. It's a really nice car, and it's just no fun to drive when you're seeing it go out of overdrive into third and jumping around like that. It's frustrating. Here's another update. So after doing the shift solenoids and doing a lot of careful thought about this transmission, the transmission shop said, you know what, everything inside the transmission is acting the way it should. And, you know, how much time, I have to realize how much time will these guys take? You know, they can't spend 2 days test driving it. So they were gracious enough to let me test drive it. And the owner of the transmission shop said, we got to determine what's making this obviously kick out of gear. He says, you have to check all the inputs. So I got a list from a friend of mine that works at a Ford dealership, and this is the list. And it goes on to show, you know, the powertrain control module, like the computer, mass airflow sensor, ignition module, air intake sensor, you know, your temperature sensors, your manual lever position sensor, of course, the shift control solenoids on this list, and a few other things. So what we have to do is monitor each of these different sensors to see if they're giving a funny signal or if they're grounding out or who knows what. So we were able to go back to the transmission shop. We hooked up a really good scan tool, and then we could graph everything. And for example, like a speed sensor, it should have a nice static voltage, and then when the car speeds up, it should nicely climb. So that's what we did next, and check out what we found out. So it just acted up, and our manual lever position is voltage. It had a little bit of a spike there. There, it acted up right now. It's in third. Just watch it a bit longer. Check the voltage out on the left side. I know before it looked like it was hovering around 2.17 volts. Yeah, it was down to 2.17, but it went as high as 2.4. So if that's enough to cause it to go out, one more thing to consider, 2.41, 2.51. It went into second gear for a second. All right, we're going to do a quick preliminary look under the car just to see what sensor it has. There should be a red gasket material if it's the upgraded one, and this does not appear to have that. So this is the original sensor for the position of the gear selector. The voltage for the gear indicator when it's in overdrive or fourth gear is 2.14 volts, give or take. It can fluctuate just a little bit. We had this fluctuating from 2.19 volts up to about 2.5 volts earlier. So I've been driving the car all day. I put on 255 kilometers, and in the last 100k or so, it's just not acting up at all. We might need a manual lever position sensor. That's what things are pointing at right now. So okay, so tomorrow morning we're going to take the Mustang back to the transmission shop. We've got a range sensor to replace. So here's a little bit of an up close. You could see on this new range sensor, it has that gasket in there to keep moisture out. And that's sort of the downfall of the old one. So this is an upgraded part. I hope this is it, because we've been chasing this one for a while. So here we are at the transmission shop. What we thought might be a 5-minute or 10-minute job has turned out to be take a little bit more to get this off, but these guys will do it. Well, they're able to get it off without really moving anything else. The pins appear to be clean, but we're gonna take this home, we're gonna drill out these rivets and see what it looks on the inside. Just a couple more to go. Okay, I see what's going on. Look at that. So it's not ideal, that's for sure. Like, let's face it, it's from a 1994 car. Here's the contacts. Anyways, there is wear on here. Here's all the resistors. And there's all the little pins that go against the range sensor circuit board. Where park, reverse, neutral, drive. That doesn't look that great in there. Definitely some wear on the sensor. Well, folks, I hope that's it. We're going to drive the car for a while to see if it acts up anymore. At least the inside of here didn't look ideal.